So when you're playing around with cars, the place that you spend the most time in is the interior. And today, that's the focus. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for being here. This is Horus Works, my name is Eric and today we're back with the little Mark 1 Focus, my daily. Now there's quite a few things you can do on the interior of these. These came in several different trim levels, including the ST170, which is a lot sportier. Then came the Ghias, which are a lot more luxurious. This is a Z-Tech, so it's kind of in the middle. It's not the poverty spec, it's not the upper echelon either, it's somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to take some bits and bobs from different cars and I'm going to put them in this just so that the things that you touch, you see and you use are a little bit nicer. But with that all said, enough chit chat, let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, let's address the elephant in the room, and that is this thing, my center console. So I've already taken out the old radio because it was broken, but I'm going to replace this fascia and I'm going to put in another stereo, something that's a little bit more modern. I'm just going to put in a double-din unit from eBay. I'll leave a link down below if you want one of those, but be warned, don't expect Alpine deck quality. But for day-to-day running around, answering phones, being able to plug my smartphone into it, it'll do the trick. So that's where I'm going to start. Once you pull this radio out, you're going to have 4 screws holding this fascia in. Alright, got you little sucker. Okay, so here's the old unit over here and here's the new fascia. So as you can see, the ashtray thing is missing, but I don't use that ever anyway. But looking at the old one, we've got a few things we've got to transfer over, and that includes this power socket, the hazard lights and the clock. Screw them onto the back of here. So we've got the mounting holes just over there. These clips will need to go over onto there. Now, before I do any of that, just take a look at this front fascia. So this comes as a straight black piece of plastic, and if that's okay for you, that's fine. You can start bolting things on there, but for me, I thought I'd take this opportunity to basically change this up. So I could either spray it grey like I had it over here, or I could maybe go like a piano black, and I actually really like that idea to get this looking gloss black. But before I go ahead and do that, what I thought I'd try is this, the gloss carbon wrap. So I'll give this a go to see if I can get this looking any good on this fascia over here, and if I can't, that's fine, I'll just peel it off and I'll paint this puppy black. So that's the next thing for me to do. And this fascia comes with obviously the mounting brackets for a double-din radio, and also the tools that you're going to need to remove your old stereo. Alright, let's get this out of the way and get to it. Pretty good, pretty happy with the results. I've got a few little bubbles here and there, but it's not too bad at all. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, that took a long time, much longer than I anticipated, so just factor that in. Also, I've got those little bubbles left over, and I'm hoping that the heat will eventually dissipate those, but if not, I mean, I don't want this looking bad, but I much prefer this over just the black plastic that it was. But I still don't know, the jury's out whether this is going to last or not. We'll find out. Obviously hydro dipping this would have been a lot better, but what I'm going to do is flip this upside down and start moving this stuff over here. Now, because I've got all this vinyl everywhere, I've just got to watch how I put this on, just to make sure I don't ruin all my good work. So I do believe that's on. So now you just grab these and put them on left, right on right. So the next step will be to start thinking about how to wire all this up. Now, what I've done is I bought this harness adapter so that I don't have to use the ones that came with the actual stereo, because I don't want to hack up my wiring loom. So I bought this off eBay, and literally what you do here, bang, you plug that in there, and these plug back into the wiring harness for the car to control the stereo. There's also a little one here that goes to the steering wheel controls, and you can get the adapter that hooks onto this to control the radio with your steering wheel controls. I didn't get that. It doesn't really bother me too much, so I'm just going to forget about that. But basically that's it. This also came with a reversing camera, so there it is. So I'll wire this up next, and it came with a mic for the Bluetooth, so that plugs into there, and then you basically run this into your car somewhere. Alright, other than that, she's ready to go back in. Now, just going to take a quick look at this. So for your reverse light, that goes in there, so that's the power. And then this one will plug into here. That runs into the back of your car, next to your license plate somewhere. And then this one plugs into video out, I believe. Either that or cam in. Okie dokie. So that's kind of it. All we really got to do is patch this in to the back of the car. So let's do that. Okay, so it's time to do some archaeology, and what I mean by that is open your boot, take some of this carpet material out, which I've already started, and get ready to run the camera. Now, the thing to note here is your camera is best positioned underneath your license plate, which means the wiring will need to run through here and splice into your reverse lights, which on the Eurospec cars is down there. You Americans are lucky because your reverse lights are up here, so you don't have to go very far. But for me, I think I'm going to need to run some extra wiring to get these cameras connected. To get this camera connected, I mean, there's only one of them. And then, once I've got everything hooked up, I'm going to run it to the front, to the dash of the car, and then I'm finally ready to put that stereo in. So let's get going. And of course, like most of these, when you take them off, all the tabs broke off. Looks like I'll be sticking this one back on. Alright, so here I am back at the bench. Here is the piece that we'll attach the camera to. Here are all the mounting points that broke off it. So looks like we'll be gluing this back on, because all of these will never go back on. This sits on the car like so, and I'm going to mount the camera, which is just over here. I'm going to mount it there like so, just underneath like that. Firstly, I'm gonna mark the center holes here. So that's 1 and that's 2. And then I'm going to drill a recess just in there so that I can feed this wire through. So a couple of holes, nice and gentle. And one more here. Now the other thing is we'll need to feed this through into the body. Cool. So that goes through there. This gets fed through on this side. Okay, I've got one nut in, the rest are all broken, just to be safe. Right, so what we need to do is run this through the car, going down through this wiring harness, and then that'll come out in the cabin. So here is the power cable. The power cable goes in here, like so, and this is obviously 2 wires, power and ground. So we need to run this to one of the reverse lights. But as you can see, I need to extend this wire because it's not going to be long enough. So this needs to run through here. Okay, moment of truth. I've got this thing plugged in now, so I'm just gonna put the ignition on. Okay, that fires up, so that's good. Let's see if Android Auto works. Will it work? Firing up. Yep, that works, that's good. Reverse. Hey, there's my house. Yes, reverse works too. Great. Okay. Maps is clearly working. Alright, so I saved you the pain of watching me run wires and cutting and splicing and doing all that kind of stuff, because quite frankly that would have taken a couple of hours. It took a couple of hours to figure this out. I hate wiring, I really do. It's just not my thing. So instead of you watching me suffer through this, I've got it all wired up. So I'm just gonna show you what worked for me. So here we go. Behind the head unit is obviously all the wiring. So there is the harness going into the stereo, and on this side is the cable, that long cable that goes into the camera patch. If we take a look back here, this is probably the best place to start. So here is the camera. So the camera goes through this handle that's broken, and then I'm going to have to Sikaflex back onto the car. But basically the wire goes through here and then comes out here, and then here are the 2 patches. So this red and black one, this is your power. So what I've done with the power is I've run it through this section here, and it's coming out here. I've got it patched onto another cable just because this was too short, so I've extended the length of the cable, and that's running down here, through here, there it is, there's the white one, through here, all the way down inside the car, there it is, and then that runs underneath here down to where the reverse lights are on this car. So I've got it patched into the reverse light and the ground for the reverse light there. So that's the power taken care of. That's that one taken care of. Now this patch lead, this black long, super long cord that runs down to the stereo, so that one needs power as well. So that's that little wire coming through. So I've basically patched that into the positive for the power of the reverse camera. So basically the reverse camera and this cable are both getting their power from the reverse light. When the reverse light comes on, power comes through here, and both this lead that runs to the stereo and the power for the camera get power through there. So anyway, this patch lead also runs through here, down through here, here it is, all the way through here, here it is over here, and then that goes into the cabin there, and then here's the cable, and that's running it through the door trims to the front of the car. So it runs through there. It runs behind this panel here, and then underneath over here. So as you can see it over there, runs all the way through there, and then it's over here. There it is there. So but then I've got it running up underneath this carpet over here. So I've just got it running across there, and then basically from here it runs up and it comes out here. So it runs up through there and it comes out here, and then it patches into the reverse camera mount on the stereo. Now the only other thing to remember is on this end you need power as well. So you've got to patch together the reverse camera out from the wiring harness into this cable. So once you've got that, your reverse camera should work. Well, it has worked for me anyway, so yeah, that took a little bit of figuring out for me personally, because I don't do electronics. I just don't like doing it, but I figured it out, so that's what I've done. If you've got a better way of doing it, by all means comment below. But in any case, zip tie this in place and put all the trim pieces back, and I'm pretty much done in here. I can also put this thing together again, but before I do, I've got one more little thing to do on this center console. Let me show you. Alright, so here we are back at the bench, and what I'm going to do, add a nice little finishing touch to these, and that's these chrome rings. I'll leave a link to these in the description, but essentially what these do is pop in like that and create a nice little accent for the instrument cluster. So you just pop these in like so, and you flip things around and use something to push it with. In my case, it's going to be this key, so the back of the key. Alright, there we go. So with a little bit of fettling. Okay, so let's get this back on the car. Make sure you take the old clips off of your old fascia. Alright, so let me show you what I've got going on here. So if you're like me and like a challenge and want to put an aftermarket fascia into your car, this is one of the hurdles you're going to reach. Can you see this pin? It's not going in that hole. You see how it's offset? It's not sitting low enough. This whole fascia is sitting up too high, because these marking pins will not slide in. Also, over here you've got a clearance issue. I've unscrewed this again, but basically this panel here, this shelf as it were in the dash, is in the way. So that radio is sitting lower than the factory one, and it's hitting this shelf. So we're gonna have to do some trimming. We're gonna need to trim this shelf. How much? Well, it looks like there's a line just there. Can you see that on the shelf? So if we follow that line inwards, that should be plenty for us to cut out. So we're going to go in and then in that way and basically cut out this shelf. Yay, I like roadblocks. Is that enough now? Have I cut enough bits off you? Looks like that will go in now. I just needed to hack up my dash. I don't know how I feel about that, but it looks like it's gonna go in. So what I want to do next is install the mic that came with the stereo. So that just plugs into the back like so, and then you mount this bit into the car. I'm going to need to remove some trim pieces, and I'm pretty sure the gauge cluster as well. And before I can remove the gauge cluster, we need to disconnect the battery. So let's do that. Let's disconnect the battery. Probably something I should have done right at the start. So let's put the center console back in, finally. It won't go in. Why? Why won't you go in? Just go home. Okay, found it. So, the problem is, I put some tape on here to see what's going on. So that is touching that there, which means now these have to come off, both sides. More cutting. Yeah, so you can even see it in the metal. See that indentation? So that has been hitting that screw, which means this needs to come off. I hate you. Round whatever this is, 2000. Let's see if we've solved the problem. Just go home, please. Oh, yes. Ask me if it was worth it. Nah, just kidding, it looks good. Hi, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's put this thing back in. But before we do, we gotta put these on. Alright, so that is looking really nice. And now for my next trick, we're going to change these pedals so that the curtains match the rug. So what I got ready here is these ST170 pedals that hopefully will help lift the cabin a little bit more. So these just slip on, so they're nice and easy. This one needs to bolt in, so let me quickly show you how to do that. Remove this cover over here, and that'll give us a little bit more room to work with. Is swap these out, and they're super easy. We just pop off the old rubber ones like that. Check that out. So I've got a little bit of rust here because I don't know if you recall, I've made a video on how to change a clutch master cylinder, which is just over there. They used to leak brake fluid, basically ate away this paint and caused this to rust. But I know that leak's not there anymore, so no issues. I'm just going to vacuum this rust up real quick. This is your accelerator cable, this is your accelerator pedal. You've got 3 10mm bolts, so just get those undone. Okay, so the way this works is there's a rubber grommet here which you push through, and then the accelerator cable comes through there. So here is the old one, out with the old, in with the sort of new. that is the clutch and the brake on as well. Woohoo! All right, blingy pedals. Nice. And for my next trick, I've got one of these. So, chrome door handles. It will really help to lift up this door card. Shiny? Boring. So let's get that swapped out. And now, just one final thing. Okay, legends, so with that, all my little interior upgrades are done. I'm gonna head out front, gonna reconnect this battery, let the car prime again. Then I'm going to reconnect the tailgate handle, which broke off. And after that, I'm going to sleep because it's been a big day. And tomorrow morning, we'll take a look at all of this in some nice lighting. So there it is, guys. That's my little video on bringing the interior up to spec on these Ford Focus Mk1s. I hope you liked what you saw today, and if you did, make sure you click that like button. And if you want to see more content from me working on projects that you could do as well at home in your garage, then click that subscribe button. But everything from the door handles to the pedals to the center console, the trim rings on the gauge cluster, and the double DIN unit, which now has Android Auto on it and a reverse camera, I'm pretty happy with the results. And yeah, my little daily has stepped into the 21st century. But in any case, enough chit chat from me. I'll catch you next time.